And let's talk this through by speaking with the country director, Change.org Nigeria, Wale Ajiboye, who is joining me now on the news. Thank you so much for joining us on TVC News On.
Thank you so much, Ryan.
Well, according to our correspondent's reports, there are different indicators to identify that a child is being bullied or bullying is actually ongoing. What was your initial reaction to this whole issue?
I was very sad. I think the first thing, I paused from my work and I was like, eventually took someone dying before we paid attention to this, because this has been happening for a while. We've had this conversation around, we've seen reports that's been happening around the country, and we know that this is already happening. And bullying is not just in school, and I think let's just pause a little bit. Bullying exists in this country, whether it's in a workplace, whether in government, whether on the street, whether on the road. We see people with road rage, and we try to say it's because it's Lagos. But the reality is that the bullying is wrong. So when I heard this story, I was very sad, because I have 2 daughters and I know what that means.
Well, this is a life where a lot of people are trying to make ends meet. You see the parents, going about their businesses, ensuring that they make money to train their children.
Absolutely.
But then it now comes with that great consequences of not having time to cater to your wards. Is that to say that in the midst of ensuring economic viability of reality, the parents are not shirking the responsibilities, their parental responsibilities?
I think it's difficult to, you can't really blame you can't blame the parents all the time. I think the reality is that all of us have a responsibility in this. And of course, we do know that there's a lot of negligence from parents, mainly because the economic reality of the country is biting hard on everyone, and it seems that people really want to make ends meet. But in the process of that, to what end? How are we making this money if you're not trying to create some balance, whether in your community or whether in your household? And so the point is not just to say the government has failed or the parents have failed or the school is failing. The point is that how do we define our values again? How do we define and find our values? Because this never used to happen. And so, yes, there is a lot of responsibility on parents.
I'm going to have to put you button there. You said this never really used to happen. This morning, that informed our conversation in the newsroom this morning, where a lot of people were sharing experiences. I've got lots of my colleagues were saying boarding school is a no-no for my offspring. So that's to say that it has always been there.
Yes, in a way, you would say that it has always existed, but I think that there was a bit of some control, because you had a system where people would hold you accountable, right? So in the past, I know that in the schools we had inspectors who would go in to check what is going on in the school. In the past, we know that there's a level of there's a ranking that exists to see that this thing is not really happening everywhere. But the communities and our society used to hold people accountable, and your behavior is a reflection of where you come from. People will hold you responsible for that and push you back. What I'm saying is that yes, it's always existed. I have seen a lot of information about trauma and what people have gone through while in school. But the reality is that our society has even lost its values. And so how do we go back to that to say, how do we begin to hold people accountable? Because when you see, go back 10 years, right? Let's say people that, they were in boarding school, they were abused and all of those challenges, and they are in the workplace today, and they are passing on that same aggression to other people. So what we are seeing is that we have come full cycle, and the system in itself is killing the future of the children. And so how do we begin to change those systems and begin to hold everyone accountable? Because you just don't have to hold the school accountable. We need to go back to the system where are the inspectors that are checking up on this thing? Are parents even allowed to see their children? And are the parents themselves listening to their children? Because I think that is a whole lot that's happening.
Are there boarding schools that don't allow the parents to have interaction with their children?
There are boarding schools that are a bit harder in terms of how you do that, and they have their reasons. One of the reasons is one of the things around you're seeing here, that you don't want a system where there's some sort of class system that's affecting the students. So you'll find that most of the maybe I don't want to mention any particular organization, most of the schools that you see that are very strict on those things, they are actually very careful about that. My daughter goes to a boarding school, and in their system, if they feel that you are for a weird reason, a student is feeling threatened, they can send you away.
Okay, so there are times where we see that parents who are trying to raise their child to be strong, to be bold, will always say, if somebody beats you, make sure you beat your own. If somebody bullies you, make sure you don't take that. So at what point do you think we might be crossing the line? Because that child is being emboldened to do something even,
I think we're crossing the line instantly, because the point is that the violence is not allowed, whether in public places, whether in workplaces, whether in schools, it's not allowed. And the reality is that what does this law say about these things? And what are the school policies that we have in place? I think we need to go back to say, what are the standards that we need to... It's not that you're not training your kids to be strong because they are fighting back. The point is that, does the law even work? And are the policies even really being adhered to. And I think this is what we should focus our energy on.
This really is actually food for thought for all of us out there as parents. And thank you so much for coming on TVC News On. Country Director, Change.org, Nigeria, Wale Ajiboye. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Right.